At number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna might seem like a nice, happy-go-lucky person who's always going hard for her fans, but it turns out that she actually has a little bit of a dark side. I guess you could say that she's savage, like Savage X Fenty. No? Alright. It seems like on a few occasions, she's been quite mean to her fans. She's no stranger to shoving a phone out of her face when approached by a fan, and she's been known to yell at paparazzi and fans when they get a little too close for comfort. On some more unpleasant occasions, she's been filmed smacking a fan on the head with a microphone. During one of her concerts in England in 2013, the singer whacked a fan with her mic because they had reached their hand out to her. Look at that. And in another savage incident, Rihanna mocked a 16-year-old fan online for having recreated one of her red carpet looks for prom, where she called her out on Twitter and made fun of her look, calling it expectation versus reality, and posting a side-by-side comparison. Not the nicest person in the industry, that's for sure. At number 9, Ezra Miller. This one was a little shocking, but it turns out that Ezra Miller might not be as nice of a guy as we think. You may have seen in the intro a video of Ezra Miller choking and slamming a woman to the ground. This video, when it first hit the internet, was thought to have been a joke, but it really wasn't. This happened during an altercation at a bar in Iceland when a group of fans approached the actor and things got out of hand. Bystanders of the incident described the group as being very pushy, and it seemed like this was what triggered Ezra's violent reaction. Things escalated and he lost his temper, leading to the physical altercation. Some say that alcohol may have contributed to the incident, but the bottom line is that Ezra's outburst was not cute, and it really surprised a lot of fans. Just before I continue on with the video, I'd like to ask you guys to maybe consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We love getting your positive feedback, and your likes really help us out too, so please go ahead and show us some love by smashing that like button. At number 8, Jennifer Lopez. This probably doesn't come as a shock to many, but it turns out that J-Lo isn't a very nice person. Some say that she's a real diva, and others say that she's just rude. Apparently, the singer/actress is very picky about who may or may not speak to her, and for those permitted to address her, they're not allowed to make eye contact with her. There are even reports that she sometimes flat out refuses to comply with scripts. This has happened on a few occasions, most notably during a filming for a Fiat commercial where they needed to hire a double for Jennifer simply because she just didn't want to do certain things for the shoot. She doesn't have a good reputation with a lot of people she's worked with either. She is said to have completely ignored the people who were remodeling her house. She's gotten a cleaning lady fired for having asked for an autograph, and she even refuses to talk to in-flight staff and pilots on flights, and instructs her assistant to talk to them for her. And even though her staff do so much for her, including communicating for her, they don't get paid very much for their time. J-Lo just gives off bad vibes, so I think maybe it's best to steer clear of her whenever possible. At number 7, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire might look like the fun and lovable Peter Parker on screen, but unfortunately that's far from who he really is. Turns out that Tobey is really just a Hollywood jerk, and fame really just drove him to being that way. He started off as a pretty humble guy, but after the Spider-Man films brought him so much fame and success, it consumed him. Towards the end of his Spider-Man days, Tobey had something of an attitude problem, where we saw him harassing people at a poker game, even going so far as to tell a woman to bark like a seal for $1,000. He also racked up a hefty production cost for the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man film because he needed doctors on site at all times to deal with his bad back, and he was only able to walk a certain amount of steps in a scene before needing to quit. Those who worked with him often called his attitude inappropriate, and he's really just been badmouthed by a lot of people he's worked with over the years, so he really doesn't seem like that much of a nice guy. At number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. I think this one's a little obvious because it's Ellen. We've done a lot of videos on Ellen. Ellen has been exposed as one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Even though she was all about kindness and spreading good vibes on her show, it seems like Ellen's angel persona on TV was quite the opposite in real life. Many staff members, as well as other people who've been on the show with her and have worked with her in the past, have started coming forward to talk about Ellen's mean streak in Hollywood. It turns out that there are some workplace horrors afoot over on the Ellen show set, with people claiming that you're not allowed to look Ellen in the eye, and those who approach her are often spoken to rudely or even face racial biases. Also, there seems to be some kind of drama with the toilets on set. I guess people's butts are very prestigious or something. There have been reports of Ellen getting people in trouble for having chipped nail polish, for giving away fan mail, and apparently there's a rumor that Ellen picks one member of staff to be mean to every day. Lovely person, isn't she? Halfway through at number 5, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's temper is really something to behold. I really wanted to include a clip of one of his outbursts, but there was so much swearing that no one has time to bleep all of that. After his outbursts on set, from crew members upsetting him to fans getting him riled up, Hollywood has begun to paint the actor as someone with serious anger issues. In one instance, according to Christian's former assistant, he once wanted to kill a fan. Fans seem to have really upset the actor on multiple occasions, so apparently once Christian received a fan letter at home, he said that the fan should be eliminated. He described wanting to thrust a screwdriver through the fan's eye and into their brain to the part that prevents screaming. I'll let that one sit there for a second. On another occasion, Christian went on a 4-minute swear word ridden tirade where he really chewed out a crew member from the set of Terminator Salvation. That one I have no quotes for, because if I repeated any of those words, this video would be flagged, and just trust me when I say Christian Bale is one mean SOB. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele is another celebrity who's been exposed for her mean streak this year. Following a Twitter exposure from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, Lea has now been described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star isn't the only testimony that has come forward recounting her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food, refusing to work with people because they didn't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates, and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and just so many other frustrating tidbits that just really show how rude and entitled she's known to be. At number 3, Amber Heard. I couldn't make this mean celebrity list without including Amber. That's like watching a Marvel movie and leaving before the end credits. You just don't do that. I'm sure that we all know who Amber Heard is by now, and if not, where have you been? Amber and Johnny have been the media's it story this past year, and we've learned so much. If you've seen my recent video where I gave you the top 10 worst Amber Heard moments, then it's no surprise to you that she is a horrible person, but if not, let me recap some of her highlights. She's gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to have been a victim of a violent crime, she's smuggled her dogs into Australia, pretended not to have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury. She's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she's supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all of these things that have come out about the actress, there's just so many people from around the world who just really hate her. There have been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So yeah, she definitely belongs on this list. At number 2, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal seems to be this super great guy who's given back to his community, donated to all these charities, and has done a lot of work to benefit a lot of people. I mean, the guy has a whole foundation in his name, so this one might be a little controversial, but this was news to me, so I thought I'd share it with the class. There was an incident in 2014 when Shaq mocked the appearance of a man named Jamal Binion. Jamal suffers from a rare genetic condition which has resulted in some facial deformities. It seems like Shaq saw a picture of him online and recreated the image himself, posing his face to look like that of Jamal. Well, he didn't think it was very funny, and even though Shaq apologized, it wasn't enough, and so he issued a lawsuit against the basketball star, as well as 2 other people who mocked his condition, for $25,000 in damages. The lawsuit claimed that the image was shared to nearly 10 million people around the world, so this public mocking was grounds for seeking damages. Shaq may not be a mean guy all of the time, but this instance sure did open a lot of people's eyes to the NBA star's actions. And finally at number 1, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey isn't the nicest person ever. She's had run-ins with the paparazzi which have not gone over well, she's had some bad relationships with others, and she's known to be something of a diva. But this takes the cake. There was a lawsuit from one of Mariah's former assistants which claimed that the singer peed on her, ridiculed her body, and then called her some pretty rude names. Her former assistant said that she was hired by the singer to be on call 24/7 and assisted both Mariah and her manager. Though she was paid a salary of $250,000 a year, this wage just couldn't cover up the alleged abuse sustained by Mariah. But her case wasn't the only one up against the singer at the time. While this case was being disputed, Mariah had just settled one with her former manager which cited breach of contract, harassment, and unpaid wages. It seems like though she pays her people well, she doesn't treat them as well as she should. At number 10, Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray may seem like a happy, fun, and helpful person on TV, but it seems like that's not exactly true. She might seem wholesome while teaching you how to make a casserole, but deep down she's got a dark side. There are a few unpleasant things about Rachel that people have caught on to, including things like being a lousy tipper at restaurants, having allegedly cheated on her husband, and being rude on set. But she's also been accused of more harsh things like making racial remarks about Oprah, the very woman who gave her her start. On top of that, she's also talked badly behind the backs of a lot of celebrities, calling them some pretty mean names that I can't repeat on YouTube, and she's also faced lawsuits for her dog food brand containing toxic substances, so not only is she mean to people, but she's mean to dogs too. At number 9, Jared Leto. If you ask the internet what they think about Jared Leto, a surprising amount of people say that he's kind of a jerk. I even found a list that someone made of all of the reasons that make Jared Leto a bad person, and since this individual, along with a number of others, don't like him, I thought I'd include him on this list to get your take on this. Some of the reasons listed as to why Jared sucks so much include the fact that he's been caught being mean to fans, and he's offended the trans community after winning an Oscar for his performance in Dallas Buyers Club, and not mentioning the trans community in his speech, as well as undermining the struggles of the trans community after joking about his appearance in character. Jared has also admitted to lying during interviews whenever possible, and people found his Joker antics on the set of Suicide Squad to be a little mean because of the pranks that he would play on people, as well as the gifts that he would send to the cast and crew. I know a lot of his fans say that he's good and a genuine guy, but some of his actions say otherwise. What do you guys think? If you guys are liking the video so far, please go ahead and leave a thumbs up on the video. Your feedback is really helpful and it helps our channel grow, so go ahead and smash that like button. At number 8, Kanye West. Kanye West isn't the nicest guy out there, I think we all know that. I mean, he's not the worst person, but he also has a knack for offending people. Whether it's on stage or on Twitter, I'm sure we've seen Kanye West be pretty mean and offensive on multiple occasions. Let me highlight a few of his worst moments. Remember the VMA incident where he stole Taylor Swift's spotlight after winning her award? Not nice. How about his claim that slavery was a choice, undermining the struggle of so many black lives lost and abused by enslavement? People also think Kanye is mean because he tries to control what his wife Kim wears, trying to manipulate her style but also forcing her to cover up and not show as much skin. We also have to mention his tweets as well. He's very outspoken online and has a tendency to offend people a lot. From his claims about Bill Cosby being an innocent man following his allegations, as well as his tweets bashing his own family members, Kanye does not hold back. Some people believe that Kanye is mean because he thinks that he's better than everyone else and doesn't have to worry about other people's feelings as well. At number 7, Bill Murray. Bill Murray has a bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor behavior on set, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's actually bullied one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you'd think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but that's quite the opposite. In reality, it was a sort of hostile work environment that caused Bill to take on a dislike towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, "I get why you're here, you've got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here? You can't act." Apparently the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during one scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. Bill Murray is one mean guy. I mean, he's admitted to being mean, but man, he's got some seriously bad vibes. At number 6, Katherine Heigl. A lot of people don't like Katherine Heigl because of how rude she is. She's been known to be mean to people on set, have high demands, and just has a really bad attitude. She's known to be quite critical of her roles and the material that she's given to work with, and even said that this is why she withdrew from Emmy nominations, because she said that the material that she was given for Grey's Anatomy didn't warrant an Emmy. That's certainly disrespectful to the writers, because for someone to say something like that implies that the writing wasn't good enough to please people, whereas the people at the Emmys thought that it was worth the award. And on top of that, winning this kind of award looks good for the team, but Katherine obviously didn't think of that and she only thought about herself. Talk about a bad attitude. Katherine is also known to make ridiculously high salary demands, and she apparently has been doing this since before she became a big name in the industry. She's reportedly hired and fired a lot of publicists and assistants over the years, so she sounds like quite the diva. Because of all this, directors and Hollywood execs don't want to work with her anymore, and I can't really say I blame them. At number 5, Michael Phelps. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps is often called the best swimmer of all time, but it seems like his aquatic skills are really all he's got going for him, since he's apparently got a bad attitude. He's done some pretty bad stuff in his life, so people don't think too highly of him. Back in 2014, he was arrested for driving under the influence, and speaking of that influence, Phelps has also been caught with drugs before. This isn't good for his image because being an Olympian, people have a lot of eyes on you. Phelps was reprimanded for his drunk driving and was suspended from swimming for 6 months, but other than that, the scandal was pretty much kept under wraps. On top of this swimmer being a felon, he's also known to not be a team player. Apparently, he hides himself away from his other teammates when at competitions like the Olympics. You would think that being at something like the Olympics, you'd want to soak up all of that team spirit, but no. Michael wants nothing to do with his team and instead flies solo. Kind of a bad attitude if you ask me. At number 4, Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel plays fun, bubbly, and happy characters in TV and in films, but her real personality is far from nice. Turns out that Zooey is actually pretty mean in real life. Her biggest thing is brushing off or being mean to her fans. According to one fan on Reddit, she allows some fans to talk to her, but only for a brief amount of time, if that. And she doesn't do pictures or autographs, and she'll just walk away from you if she wants to. People who have worked with the actress have also said that she's got a bad attitude on set, and that she's pretty stuck up and has a big ego. Others say that she demands a lot, throws tantrums about literally anything, and has a reputation for delaying shoots, but will go off on anyone else who makes demands or delays shoots. Double standards here. Basically, she's got a bad attitude, and that's one of the reasons why she doesn't get cast much anymore, because no one wants to work with her. At number 3, Ariana Grande. I honestly thought that Ariana Grande was a really nice person. She's pretty soft-spoken and seems like she's really kind, but according to people who've worked with or interacted with the singer, it's not exactly true. She's apparently so bad that even her life coach quit on her, so you know something's up. Apparently, Ariana makes some high demands, from the positioning of lighting to being in the right position when people come to see her or take photos with her. She's also gotten backlash for her attitude from people she's worked with in the past, like Victoria Justice and Jeanette McCurdy. Jeanette has called Ariana a leech and a drama queen, and Victoria has accused Ariana of bullying her on set. Ariana was also involved in that donut licking incident, which painted her as a disrespectful person, and she's been accused of using her relationships to further her career, along with being involved in some cheating scandals on 2 accounts, one while with Jay Brooks and another when she was with Mac Miller. The bottom line with Ariana is that she's not the nice girl she pretends to be. At number 2, Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks is not all she's cracked up to be. She claims to be someone who's inclusive in the modeling industry, and she claims that she's kind and fair to everyone, but that is so far from the truth. She even tried framing Naomi Campbell as the industry's mean girl, but after Naomi responded to those allegations thrown her way, people started realizing that it was Tyra who was the tyrant all along. Other than throwing shade at Naomi, we've also come to realize some of the other horrible things that she's done. For example, while on America's Next Top Model, she made the contestants change their appearances all the time. Though Tyra claims that she's about being unique, she sure does like changing these girls' looks. On top of that, she also forced contestants to wear blackface and other racially insensitive makeup and clothing. Though she claimed that it was to show off and express other cultures, she totally went about that in an offensive and mean way. And Tyra even shamed people for the way they express themselves, as well as some contestants' sexualities. So many former contestants of the show have said how horrible Tyra is to work with, and if you see Tyra's outbursts on TV, I think that's already proof enough as to how mean she can be. At number 1, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is one of the best basketball players of all time. The guy is a legend, but it seems as though Michael isn't all sunshine and rainbows off the court. When in the game, he's dazzling the crowd and winning games, but in real life, outside of sports, he's actually kind of a jerk. Many fans have said that he isn't the nicest celebrity out there because he can be very dismissive and rude to his fans, denying them photos or autographs. He's also been kicked out of a country club for being rude to other guests, and he's also been known to be quite mean to other athletes. For example, he once punched Steve Kerr in the face over a disagreement that they had. On top of that, Jordan bullied Bill Cartwright because he was salty that the team brought him on, and he's also been known to call other players really mean names and threaten them as well. I think he did all that stuff to intimidate these other players so that he could remain on top, but it's still quite rude of him to treat others this way. One more example that shows how mean this guy is, he tried cheating an old lady out of a game of cards. At At number 10, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was a star, super talented, a trailblazer for women in comedy, and someone who seemed to have a bright and fun personality. But according to some people who worked with her or had met the Hollywood star, Lucille wasn't all that nice to everyone she met. Some fans reported having unpleasant encounters with her, saying that she could be quite rude at times, and some celebs at the time had said things like that as well. Apparently, shows were a little apprehensive about booking Lucille because she could be mean to other guests and staff, and they just didn't want to deal with the drama. Others who worked alongside the actress revealed that she didn't like interacting with the help and got a reputation amongst flight attendants for being mean and refusing to speak to them when they would ask for her drink order or other things that she might need, and directed them to talk to her assistant instead. She would also refuse to talk to anyone she considered lower than she was in the entertainment industry. She was still a star, but maybe not so much in the eyes of those she worked with. At number 9, Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know about you guys, but when I noticed that a lot of people think that Jerry Seinfeld is mean, I was a little shocked. I mean, I don't know much about the guy, but I just didn't peg him as being the mean type. Most people don't like him because his humor goes a little too far, which I can totally understand. Some examples of crude humor from his show, Comedians in the Car Getting Coffee, include jokes about Harvey Weinstein and poking fun at the Me Too movement, as well as joking about assault and using words like gay in a derogatory manner. Also, he apparently doesn't like young people. According to sources, Jerry has refused to speak at colleges because he says students these days are too sensitive. What are your opinions on Jerry? Like I said, I don't know much about him apart from the Bee Movie, so what are your thoughts? Is his humor too crude, or are there other reasons you may or may not like him? If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like on this video. We love seeing you guys supporting the channel, and it really helps us out. At number 8, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is known for being in National Lampoon and the show Community, but is also known around Hollywood as being kind of a jerk. There are a bunch of articles and books and interviews of people talking about their experiences with the actor and how mean he can be. There are even stories in the book Live from New York that detail the times that Chase has been mean to staff, writers, interns, and other hosts. Will Ferrell and Bill Murray are among those who don't like Chase because of the way he's treated others. Will Ferrell has said that he doesn't like Chevy because of the way he treats some female staff members. But it's not just the people on set that have been disrespected by the actor. Fans have also had horrible experiences with him. There was reportedly one incident where Chevy called a server at a restaurant a gay slur because his usual table wasn't ready, and there was another unpleasant fan encounter where one of his supporters went to greet the actor backstage at a theater and he got slapped in the face. I think you'd want to stay away from this guy because he doesn't sound very friendly. At number 7, Taylor Swift. A lot of people don't like Taylor Swift because of her attitude. She's really talented and has a lot of success in the industry, but some people have said that her attitude has rubbed them the wrong way. Taylor has been seen feuding with a lot of women in the industry, even though she preaches about spreading positivity and feminism. On top of that, the fact that she writes so many songs about her exes make people see her negatively because these relationships may not deserve to be exposed in the way that she does. In the past, Taylor has also faced cultural appropriation scandals because of her music video for the song Shake It Off, and to dig deeper, some people have also discovered that Taylor used to be a bully in high school. Basically, some people say that her quirky girl next door sort of look is all fake and that she's really just a bully. But what do you guys think? At number 6, Pierce Brosnan. During an episode of The Late Late Show in 2017, James Corden spilled the tea on the rudest celebrity he's ever met, and it took some people by surprise. During a segment of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, guest Khloe Kardashian asked James about his worst experience with a celebrity, and James did not hold back. He told viewers about a run-in that he had with the actor at a concert while with his wife. James said, quote, "I went to see U2 and Pierce Brosnan was with some friends here, and they left halfway through the gig to go off. So me and my wife moved into this area, and literally this arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way. I looked at him like that, and he didn't even glance at me," end quote. So basically, Pierce left his section for a bit and James moved in, but when Pierce got back, he shoved James out of the way. I mean, he could have just been a little nicer about it. I don't know, like tapping him on the shoulder and saying, "Excuse me." I never thought of Pierce Brosnan as a mean person, but James' story may have changed my mind. At number 5, Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera has the voice of a goddess, but that doesn't mean that she is one. Turns out she has a bad side, and a few people have experienced it. Other than being shady at Lady Gaga during their 2008 feud where she called her some unpleasant names and said, quote, "I'm not quite quite sure who this person is, to be honest. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, and she's had some other rude encounters. When working on set of her various gigs, she's reportedly always late and holds up production and has never apologized for delaying production. She also reportedly had some beef with Adam Levine while working on The Voice, and they would bicker constantly. Christina is also known as a diva, and working for her seems to be a nightmare because sources say that she's very rude and demanding of her household staff and treats her staff poorly, insisting that they're on call 24/7. Christina has also had feuds with Pink and Mariah Carey, and even got mad at Mickey Mouse once. Yeah, she got into a heated argument with Mickey Mouse when at Disneyland in 2014 for her birthday. She wanted to take a picture with the mouse, but he was going on break, and so instead of being an understanding person, she pulled the "Do you know who I am" card. Not very nice. At number 4, Gene Simmons. Musician Gene Simmons is known for his performances and music, not so much for being a nice guy. Though people may like him for the music that he creates, you may feel differently about him after learning how mean he really is. Gene has been called a misogynist because of some of the things that he said to and about women. One example of him being offensive towards women comes from an interview he did for NPR where he was talking about how money is important to him, saying, quote, "I don't know what other tool I would use besides money to buy it. Although as a woman, of course you have the ability to sell your body, then get the money, and then with that get food." End quote. Not a nice way to think of women at all. Gene has also said some creepy and disgusting things about women he's slept with and women in general, calling them names and saying derogatory things, and has also made a number of racist remarks. He's made horrible remarks about many different cultures and races, and has even included some disrespectful language in some songs. I'd recommend not getting too close to this one either. At number 3, Adam Levine. Well, we talked about Christina Aguilera, so next up on the Voice cast list is Adam Levine, and boy is there some tea. Though Adam has cleaned up his act a bit in recent years after settling down, there was a time that he was not a nice guy. In the past, Adam has trash talked a lot of his exes, making for some pretty toxic energy. And of course, we have to mention his feuding with Christina Aguilera. He's also had beefs with Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus just because he was very nitpicky about their music for no reason really, and he's also been in several arguments with other Voice co-stars as well. Adam has also been accused of being a homewrecker because he had an alleged affair with Jessica Simpson, and he's also given some inappropriate details about his love life that I'm sure his partner would have liked to have been kept secret. But I think the thing that tops this all off is the fact that Adam has said in the past that he, quote, "didn't give autographs to ugly chicks." 2 words: toxic energy. At number 2, Sandra Bullock. I don't know about you, but to me, when I think about Sandra Bullock, I think of a wholesome soccer mom. Like the type of person that would comfort you but give you some tough love. Well, after learning about how mean Sandra really is, I don't think I'll be looking at her the same way again. A fan had a very unpleasant run-in with the actress and she totally blew up in his face. The story goes that a woman and her husband were out for a walk in the park when they recognized Sandra in the area. She was on a break from filming The Heat, and so the couple approached Sandra and asked for an autograph. The husband was a big fan of hers and he was a wheelchair-bound veteran, so they thought that she might take a moment for them, but sadly that wasn't the case. Instead, she started screaming at him and sorta had a meltdown. Later on, the couple said that they understand that celebrities might not like being hounded by paparazzi and fans, but they thought that maybe she'd make an exception for them. Even still, a simple no would have done the trick. There was no reason to yell. At number 1, John Mayer. John Mayer is not as nice as you may have thought. Though his songs sound beautiful and his lyrics might move you, he isn't the man you thought he was. Turns out he's a jerk. He's spoken poorly about a lot of women he's dated, including Jessica Simpson and Jennifer Aniston, both of whom still hold grudges to this day, and he's said some pretty nasty things about women in general, making sexually charged comments, and even going so far as to say that he only finds white women attractive and literally no one else. Speaking of race, John has also used a lot of racial slurs in the past, saying the N-word with the hard R on a few occasions, and never having apologized for his actions. So next time you hear one of his songs on the radio, think about the person he really is deep down, and then change the station. You do not need that negativity in your life.
Starting off our list, at number 10 is Rachel Ray. The celebrity chef and TV personality has her own daily talk show where her fans book tickets to her show on a daily basis so that they can be a part of the live experience. But apparently her personality differs when you see her live compared to when she's behind your screen. On TV, Rachel's personality is bright and friendly, but one fan who attended the live show said differently. A fan took her personal review to TripAdvisor and rated her experience a 1 star out of 5. Her review had a whole story of her experience, and in it she stated, "When she came out to greet the audience, she was cold, even seemingly annoyed that she had to do the show. She complained, she rolled her eyes, and was not at all the perky, spunky personality we have come to know on her show." The fan went on to say that she also treated her staff poorly by saying things to them like, "Use your head." Honestly, in my opinion, my only advice is to just go see Ellen next time. You always know you're gonna have a good time at Ellen DeGeneres' show. Moving on to number 9, we have Mike Myers. Fame must have gone to his head from the success of his movies because the director for Cat in the Hat opened up and revealed a story of him being a complete diva and demanding ridiculous things. She did an interview back in 2008 and explained that while filming the movie with Mike, she often found it difficult to perk up his dark mood. She told the story that the actor actually stormed off set because he was infuriated that there was no margarine for his bagel. Only butter. Sources said the actor was so angry because he suffered from hypoglycemia, but that was later cleared up by the actor's rep, who confirmed that he doesn't. The movie's director went on to say, "He was emotionally needy and got more difficult as the shoot went on." She admitted that she actually put her young daughter in charge of making sure that he had whatever snack he needed at any given moment. Margarine and butter are not that different. Like, literally not that different. Sliding into number 8 is Sandra Bullock. You're probably a little surprised to hear her name on this list because you don't see the actress making negative headlines very often. However, there have been some reported stories that suggest her celebrity status may have gone to her head a little bit. Back in 2012, a woman came forward and told Star magazine that Sandra was one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Turns out that she had a run-in with the actress while she was out with her husband, who was a veteran in a wheelchair. She was filming her movie The Heat in Boston at the time and was on a film break when she ran into her on the streets. Denise said that her husband asked Sandra for an autograph, but she covered her face and yelled at him. It's hard to believe that side of her since we're used to seeing her play a character like the compassionate mother in The Blind Side, but it is not the only story online that exposes her for being rude to her fans. I did some research. She's got some sass. In spot number 7 is Robert Pattinson. The Twilight actor is actually known to have a sour attitude, so I am personally not stunned by this information because I've heard it so many times. He's been recorded on multiple occasions dissing his own Twilight movies and also the author who wrote the original novels. I don't really get how someone rips on the thing that made them rich and famous. Doesn't really make sense to me. But people were still a little surprised to see his negative attitude towards his fans, seeing as those are the people pretty much supporting your entire career. When he was interviewed for the German edition of Interview magazine, he spoke about his wild fan base and he questioned what his Twilight fans do with their time all day. He said, "Sometimes I ask myself what these masses of people do the whole day. They sit in front of their computers and comment on anything having even remotely to do with Twilight." He also referred to his fans as a crap group of crazies during an interview with Howard Stern. He seems like a lovely man. Rolling into the number 6 spot is Lea Michele. This one is all based on personal opinion because ever since she skyrocketed into fame from her role on Glee, she's come across as a really sweet girl. During interviews, in public with her fans, she just appears to have a good heart. But in 2017, she was titled as rude after walking off the set of Good Morning America. The big debate is, her interview was over when she decided to just shake Philip and Holly's hand and then walk off set. Apparently, normally the celebrity guests will chit chat with them during the commercial break and then leave, but she quickly got up, just shook their hand and then peaced. Fans started tweeting out that it was rude. I personally don't find this rude at all. She could have had somewhere to go, maybe she was in a rush. In my opinion, she smiled, she thanked them, and she left. I don't see a problem with that. However, fans said that it was rude. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Halfway through at number 5, we got Adam Levine. There are a lot of stories out there of people complaining that he isn't a friendly person in real life compared to what we see in the media. You can actually see his personality come through as a judge on The Voice, which he refuses to apologize for. He basically has zero chill and just says things how it is. But one story he's become famously known for is the time when one of his fans asked him for an autograph and he called her ugly instead. The story went viral online after a fan said that she was really excited to meet him, but when she asked for his autograph, he responded with, "I don't give autographs to ugly chicks." Now, it is her word against his, of course, but if that is true, you have to have quite the ego to think that you can say that to someone. Taking over our 4th spot is Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's been reported that she was once extremely rude to an 8-year-old girl who was excited to talk to her about acting. It is no surprise that young girls admire or idolize the actress, many of them hoping to probably be like her one day. But one 8-year-old fan shared her story a few years later, explaining the awkward moment she met her and left completely devastated. Turns out the young girl had the chance to meet her and told her that her dreams were to become an actress. She said, "Catherine turned to me, looked me up and down, and said, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose,' and then went back to her conversation. I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." I mean, I don't even know how you respond like that. Like some kids like, "I want to be an actress," my first thought wouldn't be like, "Are you pretty enough?" That's terrible. Alright guys, in our 3rd spot is Conor McGregor. I think we can name a few different occasions where fame has gone to the fighter's head. Despite his talent and skill, no one can deny that he is one of the biggest egos in the league. He has a massive fan base, which is a huge part of the reason for his success and fame, but there's been times where he's lashed out on them for taking his picture. One example is when he was arrested and charged in February 2019 after taking a man's phone and smashing it on the ground to destroy it. Conor was walking outside of a hotel in Miami when a fan began to take pictures of him on his phone. He saw the cameras flash and immediately snatched the phone, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and then picked it up and carried it away. The whole thing was caught on tape and the man filed a lawsuit against him to sue him for battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. He demanded $15,000 for repairs, but the two of them were able to reach a settlement. You know what, if someone did that to my phone, I might have emotional distress too. Winning over the number 2 spot is Michael Jordan. The basketball legend has a handful of stories against him that claim he is just plain mean. One of them comes from the rapper Chamillionaire, who was thrilled to meet his basketball hero back in 2009. He says he crossed paths with Jordan at a party after spending $7,000 for one of his jerseys at a charity auction event before the party started. He says that he saw Jordan posing for pictures with some ladies at the party, so he felt that it would not be a problem to ask for one himself. He approached Jordan, who was sitting next to Spike Lee and Paul Pierce, and asked for a picture. According to the rapper, he responded with a racist term and said that he is not taking pictures with him. He tried to explain to him that he is a huge fan and paid $7,000 for one of his jerseys, and Jordan got mad and said, I quote, "You know what, I tell you what, you pay $150,000 right now for a jersey for me and I will take a picture with you." If that doesn't say that fame has gone to your head, then I don't know what does. And in case you're wondering, Sham the man never got a picture or an apology. Sniping the number 1 spot is Christian Bale. It's hard to forget about his epic freakout moment on set that was caught on tape back in 2009. If for some reason you haven't seen it, during the filming of the Terminator movie, video footage leaked which captured the actor going off on this crazy rant on one of the crew members. You can actually hear the actor yell and cuss for a few minutes at the crew member, who apparently walked behind him while he was filming the scene. You can hear the crew member explain himself and say that he was actually just looking at one of the lights because it's his job. But the actor just continues to cuss at him and calls him an amateur, telling him to stay off the effing set. The fight continued to escalate and he even threatens to kick his ass and trash his lights. He also went as far as saying that he will quit the movie if the crew member continues to work there. The audacity that Christian Bale has to act like that, I will be damned. He literally was yelling at him for doing his job. In the number 10 spot is Shaquille O'Neal. Back in 2014, he made headlines after posting a mocking selfie on Instagram next to a picture of a man with a rare genetic disease. The man is Jamel Binyon, a regular guy living in Michigan who lives with ectodermal dysplasia, which affects his teeth and his hair. He ended up suing Shaq for $25,000 in damages for emotional distress. In his lawsuit, he claims offensive communications for sharing that photo with more than 8.4 million people worldwide, his followers obviously, and said that it was an invasion of privacy, defamation, and general negligence. Shaq did issue an apology after the lawsuit came, both privately and publicly. He actually tweeted, "Made a new friend today when I called and apologized to Jamel Binyon. Great dude, hashtag my bad cuz." Fans were not really impressed with this post in the first place and pointed out that he only thought he'd get away with it because of his celebrity status. Like, no one would ever post that. I don't even know why you thought that that was okay. Coming in at number 9 is Gene Simmons. Some people would say he looks scary with all the makeup he wears as one of the KISS members, but I'm sure it would surprise people to learn that he is rude to the elderly. Apparently. This whole thing started when Modern Family star Eric Stonestreet shared a series of texts from his mom back in 2014. She texted him saying, "I think Gene Simmons is on my flight. Do you think I should go give him a kiss?" Get it? Turns out she's a fan of his and wanted his autograph, but before she could even ask for one, Simmons tried to force her to give up her seat. Eric shared the text from his mom, who explained that he tried to bully her out of her seat when she said no, and made comments like, "It's okay, I just bought the plane." Clearly trying to use his fame and money as a tactic to make her move. But she did not. You stay there, girlfriend. You stay in that seat. Swiping the number 8 spot is Jennifer Lawrence. Does it count as fame gone to your head if you admit that you're rude to your fans on purpose? From the outside perspective, her fans are saying that she is cold to them in person, but from her side, she has intentions behind it. During an interview, the actress admitted to being rude to her fans and said it's how she keeps her defense up. She said, "Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge They say, 'Can I have a selfie?' and I'm like, no. I think that people think we are already friends because I am famous and they feel like they know me, but I don't know them. I have to protect my bubble." She went on to explain that when someone takes a picture of her and then posts it, within 2 seconds they've basically created a marker of her location. Which is totally true. Like, I can totally understand her perspective. I feel like I see both sides to it, but what do you guys think? Has the fame gone to her head? Or is she aware of the fame and this is her way of making sure that it doesn't go to her head? I don't know. In spot number 7 is Sean Penn. It's hard to forget this story because it made news headlines, but maybe you need a refresher, or maybe this will be your first time hearing about it. Back in 2013, the actor flipped out on a fan in an upscale San Francisco hotel who took a picture of him on a cell phone. His entire explosive rant was captured and the footage surfaced online. Sean was at the hotel lobby bar when he saw a flash go off from the fan's cell phone. He lunges at the guy and screamed, "Do we look like effing zoo animals?" He probably did the head bobble there too. He then snatches the phone from the fan's hand and then slammed it to the ground and threatened that he would make him eat his cell phone if he didn't get the F out of there. The actor did not stop there though, he actually went and complained to the hotel management. The worst part about the story is that later on we learned that the fan actually attended the sales conference where Sean was speaking at. He even had his name tag on his shirt at the time of the altercation. Like, bruh, just let him take a picture of you. Cruising into the 6th spot is Kevin James. The King of Queens star seems like a huge teddy bear in the series, but supposedly he is not the nicest person in real life. Someone came forward and said that he was a waiter for him one time when he asked him if he wanted anything to drink. The actor responded with, "You were told not to speak to me." Apparently, Kevin's security guards went in first and told the waiters and staff to stay a certain distance from him. But the actor spoke on it and denied the story, saying that it is just a rumor. He spoke on it while doing an interview with Jimmy Fallon and said, "Can we check the facts on this one? If there was ever honestly a situation when I needed someone's undivided attention, it's gonna be when I'm ordering food from a restaurant." I mean, he does make a good point. But the question is he just covering up the story because he looked bad? We don't know the full truth, but if the waiter is telling the truth, that is some crazy diva stuff happening there. Like, to get your security guards to go into the restaurant first and let everyone know, like, don't look him in the eyes and don't go near him. That's a bit much. Halfway through the list is Roseanne Barr. She had her own TV series titled Roseanne, which ran through the years 1988 to 2018 with a total of 229 episodes. So to say she is famous is an understatement. But it all seemed like that all went to her head when she started to tweet out racist remarks against Barack Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett. She referred to her as a child of the Muslim Brotherhood and something from Planet of the Apes. I mean, I feel like you have to feel pretty confident in your position in Hollywood to feel like you can say that and not have any kind of repercussion from it. ABC called an emergency meeting immediately, and just a few hours later her show was cancelled. She issued an apology, but at the same time she also defended herself by saying that she is a comedian and sometimes people get offended by jokes. Which is true, people do get easily offended by jokes. However, not quite appropriate. very insensitive, and just not right. We've made it to number 4, and we have Miles Teller. He had a promising career for many years, but people saw a different side to him in 2015, and one that they didn't really like. He did an interview with Esquire, and for some reason he thought it'd be appropriate to tell the female writer and their waitress that the bar glass was modeled after his private parts, if you know what I'm saying. He obviously used a much more like vulgar term, but for the sake of this channel being shut down, I am not gonna say it. You guys know what I mean. He also had a really sassy attitude and tried to demand the writer to cut his meat for him when their food came. But after the interview came out, he voiced his side, saying that things were changed around. He told Vulture, I quote, "If how that story made me look is how I really was, I'd think I was the biggest douchebag too. I know who I am, and it's not who I was in that story." So, who do we trust? That is the question. In our 3rd spot is Pierce Brosnan. At first glance, you probably wouldn't think that he could be a rude man. His good looks, talent, and charm won over the hearts of many people when he played James Bond in the late 90s. But people's opinions may have changed after talk show host and comedian James Corden revealed that he was rude when he ran into him. While playing a game on his own talk show in 2017, he was asked who the rudest celebrity is that he ever met, and Pierce was his answer. James said he went to see U2, and Pierce was there with some of his friends, and they left halfway through. So James, who was with his wife at the time, moved into that area. As we all do. But then Pierce came and apparently pushed James out of the way, and James tried to like say hi and explain what was happening, but I guess Pierce just put up his arm to block him and wouldn't even acknowledge him. Making our way to number 2, we have Faye Dunaway. The Academy Award winner has been in hot water on many occasions throughout her career for her bizarre and disrespectful behavior. Most recently in 2019, she was fired from her Broadway play Tea at 5 because of her erratic demands on set. Apparently, she was throwing objects at crew members, slapping members of her wig fitting team. She also threw one of her salads on the floor, and also insisted that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. But things got even worse, and she got sued by one of her assistants, Michael Rocca, who claims she verbally harassed him and referred to him as a little homosexual boy. His job was to run around and take care of things that she demanded each day, and he turned in audio evidence of her abuse, where she often used his sexual orientation to demean and humiliate him. I don't know if that's fame gone to your head, or if that's just like, you're just plain like not a good person. Taking our number 1 spot is Bob Dylan. It's not totally surprising to think that the Nobel Prize winner might have a bit of an ego. I mean, that is quite the award to win. I might be feeling pretty good if I won that too. There has been a variety of reported incidents where he has come off as a diva. One stagehand who worked on his show said that he is famous for threatening to get them fired if any stagehands make eye contact with him. The employee said, "We aren't allowed to be around when he's playing since we didn't pay for tickets, even though it can take days to set up his show." And you know that Nobel Prize I told you that he won? Well, one Nobel Academy member came forward and called him impolite and arrogant after he refused to pick up their phone calls after the award was announced. I mean, I don't want to assume that he wasn't answering their calls on purpose, but I do understand like you probably should have put some effort into answering their phone calls, seeing as you're about to win the Nobel Prize award. Yeah. And as for the show, come on. Can you imagine like hiding your music like from the people who are setting up your entire show? Like, you can't be near me, you didn't buy a ticket. Like, bruh, you don't have a stage to perform on if it's not for me. Imagine that. Starting us off at number 10 is Terrence Howard. He scored a part in one of the biggest movie franchises in the world after joining the first Iron Man movie cast. It was reported that he got a salary of $3.5 million with the promise of an extra $5 million if a sequel was going to happen, which it was. But that is when things turned sour because the actor was demanding more money and says that he took a $1 million pay cut and then blamed his co-star for it, Robert Downey Jr. Terrence claims that he persuaded Marvel to hire Robert in the first place when they were first casting for Iron Man, and then when his character was going to be cut down in the sequel, he reached out to Robert for help. But apparently, Robert did not return his calls. He didn't respond well to it and got fired from the franchise, claiming that he basically gave Robert Downey Jr. $100 million. As if he didn't earn that with his performance. Up next, number 9 is Christina Aguilera. It's no surprise anymore that some celebrities grow an ego after they achieve fame, but I personally did not expect it from this girl. In the media, she comes off super down to earth and kind, but one actor opened up about a negative experience with her that might prove her fame has gone to her head. Remember Damien from the movie Mean Girls? You know, the too gay to function best friend? Remember the scene where he sings Christina's song Beautiful in the talent show? Well, he had a chance to meet her and was obviously super excited to have that little bonding moment, as anyone would be, but apparently Christina wanted no part of it and wasn't nice about it either. He told Yahoo Movies that she was so rude, and when he met her and shared that scene with her, she said she never saw it and just walked away. Swiping the number 8 spot is Chris Brown. You know your ego is high when you're storming off the Good Morning America set during the middle of an interview, all because you didn't like the question they asked you. This happened back in 2011 when he walked out of the on-air interview, ripped off his shirt like the Hulk, and then smashed a studio window backstage. Apparently he feels like he can act that way because of his celebrity status. But we all know he thinks highly of himself just based off things that he has said. In 2013, during an interview with The Guardian, he said, "I just think I'm a walking art piece, just a ball of creativity." A walking art piece? Listen, I think it is one thing to call yourself a creative human being. That's great. I'm creative as well, but I'm not gonna call myself a piece of art or a walking art piece. Next up is Rihanna. Is it a coincidence that she's following her ex-boyfriend on this list? Maybe. Back in 2012, she was making strange headlines, one of them saying, "Should Rihanna go to rehab and does she have narcissistic personality disorder?" If you don't believe me, just Google it. This is a headline. People were diagnosing her, and the disorder is defined as a constant need for attention and admiration. The articles were even saying that Jay-Z threatened to drop her from his label if she didn't go to rehab. In more recent years, one interviewer brought up the fact that her Instagram was filled with a ton of selfies. She said she had an obsession with self-portraits and said, I quote, "It may be narcissistic, but whatever." I mean, you do you, girl. If I looked like Rihanna, I would probably post selfies all the time too. But hey. Moving along to number 6 is Charlie Sheen. His entire career was riding on his hit TV show 2.5 Men, where he was titled the highest paid actor at the time. He was earning $1.8 million an episode, just to put it into some perspective for you. But apparently the fame and success he was receiving fueled his ego, and he demanded a raise. A raise from $1.8 million. It wasn't just a dinky little raise either. He wanted a 50% raise from the show, and when he got declined, he got angry. He started to publicly insult the creator Chuck Lorre and was dismissed from the series. Later down the road, he was asked if he would ever return, and he said only if he was paid $3 million an episode. He also said, "They owe me a big one," publicly, while they lick my feet. Classy man. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Kathy Griffin. The comedian slash actress has had a very successful career, which might be why she thought that she would get away with a joke back in 2017. Well, I'm not really sure if I can even call it a joke, but whatever. Back in 2017, she decided to team up with Tyler Shields to do a very controversial photo shoot of her holding a decapitated, bloody head of Donald Trump. The image was so real and graphic that sites actually had to blur it and block it, and same with news stations who were covering the story. When she first posted it to Twitter and saw people's horrified reactions, she began to tweet out that she went too far and she will be removing the picture. She took down the picture and apologized for offending people. But months later, she took her apology back and told the Rolling Stone, I quote, "I'm not sorry, I take the apology back 1000%. In 2019, she actually came out with a TV movie called A President Show Documentary, The Fall of Donald Trump. Is this too far? Let me know in those comments. Cruising into number 4 is Snooki. I was a big fan of hers when she started on Jersey Shore, but she had a bit of a diva moment that a lot of people didn't think was justifiable. Back in 2011, she was appearing at an event held by the Rutgers University in New York, and she demanded an extremely high pay of $32,000. The spokesman for the school said that the students are the ones who canvassed for who they wanted to bring in for the budget and funds that they had for a special guest. While some fans were thrilled, other students were furious that their tuition money was going towards paying her to be at the event. She was actually paid $2,000 more than Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison, who was to speak at their graduation. One student said, "The fact that our school spent more money on her than Toni Morrison is a little ludicrous. Snooki has no accomplishments or achievements that are worth that money." Although I personally feel that that is a little harsh, many people online agreed. Taking over the number 3 spot is another Jersey Shore star, Mike Sorrentino, also known as The Situation. The show found immediate fame and his persona became a fan favorite. But his fame, money, and success all seemed to go to his head because he felt like he was in a position where he did not need to pay his taxes. He was first busted back in 2014 after he failed to pay taxes on $8.9 million in income. It wasn't until 2018 that he actually received his punishment and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. He was also ordered to pay $123,913 in restitution, as well as a criminal fine of $10,000. Mike has learned his lesson and actually admitted that he deserved to be punished like everyone else despite his celebrity status, and he is in a much different place than he was back then, so maybe we can be forgiving for this one. Coming in like a wrecking ball at number 2 is Miley Cyrus. She has been a controversial topic for years now. She's not everyone's cup of tea, but she honestly doesn't seem to care. I personally am a huge fan of hers, but the internet seems to feel a different type of way. Her wild behavior is no secret, and some people think she only acts that way because of her ego and her position in Hollywood. I mean, I'd be lying if I said she hasn't gotten away with a lot of behavior that in the real world we would probably be arrested for. Like the time she was caught doing sexual acts with Stella Maxwell at a gas station. Now in real life, you'd be arrested. Instead, Miley gets her picture taken and she can just kind of laugh it off. I get where people are coming from when they claim that the fame has gone to her head. I don't know what she's like in real life, but to be honest, I wish I did. I wish I was her friend. Winning the number 1 spot on our countdown is James Franco. His fame seems to have gone to his head, but in a more serious and concerning way. We often hear about celebrities using their power of fame as a tool to get their way. 5 years ago he did this when he was trying to rent a hotel room with an underage girl. Screenshots surfaced showing that she admits to being 17, and he actually confirms his celebrity status with her by sending her pictures with her name written on a sign. This wasn't the last time that this happened though. He is currently in a lawsuit after being sued by 2 of his former acting school students who claim that he used his power to sexually exploit them. I think there's more to it than just fame going to his head, but I don't think we can deny that it has something to do with it. Power is a powerful thing. Starting us off at number 10 is Amy Schumer. Her jokes have often pushed the limits, but tons of people adore her sense of humor, which is why she's one of Hollywood's most successful female comedians. But there was a moment when people felt she went out of her way to be rude to one of her fans. She posted a photo of a man named Leslie Brewer to her Instagram account and wrote up a story that he approached her with a camera and started taking pictures, even though she was telling him no and asked him to stop. Apparently he responded by saying, "No, it's America and we paid for you." By the end of the post, she announced she would no longer be taking photos with any of her fans thanks to this one guy. The man spoke up after the post and said that he is being bullied by her fans and only did what every other fan would do, which is go up to her and take a photo of her. But I want to hear your opinions. What do you guys think about this? Do you think she had a right to do that? Do you agree with her? Let me know. Up next, number 9 is Spike Lee. He's known to speak his mind and he's had a reputation online for being short and rude to people, from different journalists, other celebrities, and to his fans. We cannot forget the feuds he started publicly with Tyler Perry and Chance the Rapper. Not to mention, he has cut some Q&A sessions short, even though his fans have paid to be there for it. But he really got into his head at the Oscars in 2019 when he walked out of the Dolby Theater after hearing that Green Book won Best Picture. Reports from inside the theater said that he was visibly upset and tried to leave the ceremony before the speeches were even concluded. One reporter said he waved his arms around in anger and stormed out of the theater, but he was stopped by the doors and was forced to return to his seat. Talk about a sore loser. How rude not to support your other actors. Sliding to number 8 is Robert Downey Jr. Because of his success and the ridiculous amounts of money he earned as Iron Man, people have often accused him of being a jerk in real life. People online have called him fame and money obsessed and said that he is given the cold shoulder when they've seen him in person. But one incident stirred up some controversy and people didn't know if he was being a jerk or if he had every right to handle the situation like he did. What happened was, back in 2015 he was doing an interview and the Channel 4 journalist kept prying about his past drug problems, even though he was there to promote his movie. So at one point, Robert walks out of the interview and just leaves the studio and does not complete the interview. Some people agree with him and said that he had every right to do that, while others say that he could have just handled it a lot differently. In spot number 7 is Anna Kendrick. In my personal opinion, she seems super down to earth, funny, and really sweet. She's always appeared that way during interviews and towards her fans on social media. But some people were upset after she posted a tweet back in 2014 exposing one of her fans for a picture that he took with her. She tweeted out, "Hey fellow humans, when you see me picking up prescriptions and want to get a photo, can you be super cool and just not do that? Thank you." The fan from the picture posted a selfie with her and said he saw her at CVS and asked for a selfie. I mean, when you're a starstruck fan, you probably just don't consider your surroundings, you kinda just wanna like meet them ASAP. But he felt really bad and probably a little embarrassed since she called him out in front of the entire world. But I get both sides of the story. Also awkward if you're trying to buy prescriptions. Cruising into number 6 is Jamie Foxx. As a celebrity, you often get ridiculed for your sense of humor. Oftentimes they will do or say something that to them is a joke, but no one else finds it funny and can be offended or hurt by it. Back in 2017, he went on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and he thought it'd be funny to mimic sign language as the show went into a commercial break. His questionable joke offended tons of people, but also the Dancing with the Stars season 22 winner, Niall DeMarco, who just so happens to be deaf. He called it straight up disrespectful and wrote an open letter to the actor saying his behavior should not be tolerated. He also made a good point that he will most likely get away with it because of his celebrity status. I mean, it's possible that his fame and position creates this comfort where he feels like he can do that kind of joke and get away with it, but either way, not cool, man. Halfway through at number 5 is Jon Hamm. It might depend on who you ask when it comes to this actor, but if you ask Kathy Griffin, she wouldn't have very good things to say about him. In her memoir, she shared a story about him saying that he aggressively confronted her at a party, asking who invited her. Apparently, he made rude comments to her saying that she had a failed career and even commented on her age. She wrote, "You'll never convince me to like Jon Hamm. The vibe I've always gotten from him is cold and somewhat disrespectful toward me. I'm suggesting he's one of these hot guys who's mildly funny but actually thinks he's comedian level funny." Now, everyone would probably have their own experience with meeting him, but even asking her why she's at the party that you're at just suggests that you think she doesn't deserve to be there, but you do. Like you're above her or something. Here now at number 4 is Bruce Willis. You have to have some kind of ego for people to label you as rude, painful, and completely uncooperative. That's what happened with this actor after he sat down to do an interview with Britain's Magic 105.4 back in 2013. The video footage shows how uninterested he appears to be in this interview, and it's been labeled as one of the most awkward interviews ever. At one point in the interview, he even says that he can hardly keep his mind on it. He started ridiculing the reporter, Jamie Edwards, saying that he was bored with it and wanted to leave. He said, "I'm thinking about driving right now. I can hardly keep my mind on this interview. You have some great questions here, Jamie. Great chat." I'm sorry, but you don't gotta be an asshole. Alright guys, we made it to number 3 and we have Tobey Maguire. He took on a role in the movie Molly's Game, which required the cast to get familiar with poker playing. According to Molly Bloom, Tobey was, I quote, "the worst tipper, the best player, and the absolute worst loser." Production would actually set up games for them and they were required to play them just to practice the game. Molly would take home more than $50,000 a night, so they ended up nicknaming her Poker Princess. Like many people, she was a fan of the actor, but Tobey apparently felt like she was making too much money and humiliated her in front of all the other players and cast members. Turns out he ordered her to bark like a seal who wants a fish for a $1,000 chip. The waitress tried to laugh it off, but he continued by saying, "I'm not kidding. What's wrong? You're too rich now? You won't bark for $1,000? He thought it was funny, but reports say he said it with a serious face and just kept the insults going the whole game. No offense, man, but I don't think any successful actor should poke fun at someone who's making good money. Like, look who's talking. Taking over the second spot on our list is Kate Winslet. Not someone I personally expected to be on this list. Back in 2012, she was being accused of snubbing her fans. People from a town in Massachusetts accused her of being rude and not acknowledging their presence, like she was above them or something. She was shooting her movie Labor Day in the area, and some of her fans contacted the local press saying, "Kate was so rude, she never once acknowledged us. I was devastated. This was the first celebrity I've seen in my lifetime, and sadly the experience was hurtful to me and my entire town. This isn't the first time that Kate has been accused of diva-like behavior either. It was reported that she refused to be photographed at the Venice Film Festival unless it was on the red carpet. And apparently she's answered questions during interviews with a very sulky attitude. In the #1 spot is Woody Allen. There are a lot of celebrities out there who will admit that they love their profession but hate the fame. But when it comes to Woody Allen, he actually likes it. He said that it's better to be famous than to be unknown because, I quote, "the perks are better." And he is not wrong. The filmmaker said, "You get better seats at basketball games, and you get better tables and reservation places, and if I call a doctor on a Saturday morning, I can get him. There's a lot of things that you don't get if you're not famous. It's kind of disgusting, but I can't say I don't enjoy it." Well, at least he's being honest. He has no problem admitting that he enjoys the perks of fame, and people often see it as bragging because it just kind of comes across that way.